How is it going, Bears fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Bear Down podcast, where we talk everything Bears every day of the week. It's a quick turnaround for us from week 4 to week 5, but today we kick off our week 5 coverage taking a look at the Bears' opponents, the 3-1 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I would like to say, before I introduce myself and my co-hosts, if you are new to the channel and whatever platform you're listening on, and you want Bears content every day of the week, do us a favor and subscribe. And if you are on YouTube, do us a favor, drop a like on this video. We are so close to 3,000 subscribers, so if you are listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts and want more content from us, we're doing it basically every day on our YouTube channel. So come over, check it out, and let's see if we can get to 3,000 subscribers soon, because that would be incredible. I am your host, Chris Malpe, and today to talk about these pesky Buccaneers who have had a resurgence since a Week 1 loss, I am joined with my co-hosts Parth and Jaylen McClinton. Guys, one day after a pretty bad loss, how's it going?
I'm fine. I took the loss. I didn't think too much of it. It's just a loss at the end of the day. It happens. The Bears are 3-1, and I'm fine with being 3-1. So let's beat these Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Thursday Night Football.
I'm over that loss. I knew we were gonna lose. We're not gonna go 16-0. So I take the loss and I move on. We play in 3 days against Tampa Bay. We just gotta get over that loss and prepare for a different team.
Yeah, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the team that the Bears have in town this week. A primetime game on Thursday Night Football. It's going to be a very big one. Let's take a look at the Buccaneers depth chart before we get into this one. Obviously, probably the biggest move of the offseason. They bring in Tom Brady, a very good move for them. Their starting running back normally is Leonard Fournette. The Bears may catch a break with this one. He's still listed on the depth chart as out heading into Week 5. Mike Evans, the wide receiver who's been great for some time in this league. Chris Godwin, their number 2, is also looking to be out in this one. So they're going to be down a couple very important pieces, it seems, in this game. So they're going to be relying on wide receivers like Scotty Miller. You take a look at their tight ends, obviously, 2 very solid pieces in Rob Gronkowski and Cameron Brate. Aren't essentially the players that they still were, but O.J. Howard did tear his Achilles yesterday. He's out for the season. They have a pretty good offensive line. Tristan Wirfs, the 13th overall pick out of Iowa, a very good pick, someone who I wanted the Bears to trade up for, but I knew it wasn't going to happen. Also, Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen, so some great pieces along that offensive line. And this Tampa offense does look pretty good. They put up 38 points yesterday against the Los Angeles Chargers in a comeback win. So, Parth, I want to pass it to you. What do you think about these Buccaneers after adding Tom Brady?
I think they're a really good team. They struggled Week 1 against the Saints, which was expected. Tom Brady in a whole new system, whole new team. So they struggled that game and they dropped that one. But ever since then, I think they've been playing lights out football. Yesterday against the Chargers, I saw them playing and I was like, dang, they're actually down by basically 2 or 3 touchdowns. And then, Tom Brady comes back and wins the game for them. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are probably going to be one of the best teams we face all year. That defense started off well. They did let Justin Herbert, throw all over them, but still, they're still a pretty good defense. And that offense with Tom Brady and guys like Chris Godwin, who's not going to play this week against us, but they still have Chris Godwin. They got Mike Evans. They got Ronald Jones. That offense looks really good, and it's going to be a tough task for the Bears this weekend or weekday.
It's also worth noting that they do have Keyshawn Vaughn, a high round pick who's been playing well. Taking a look at the Buccaneers' offensive stats, Tom Brady's been very good. 101 for 155 for 1,122 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. It's worth noting that I think a majority of Tom's interceptions this year have been pick sixes, and he's thrown 4 pick sixes in his last 6 games. He has been shaky at times, but this Buccaneers offense has found a way to get it done 3 weeks in a row, and you got to respect them. Taking a look at their rushing, Ronald Jones II has led the way with 57 carries, 253 yards, and a touchdown. We don't know if we'll see Leonard Fournette back this week, but it would be a much easier task for the Bears' front 7 to be able to stop someone like a Ronald Jones than Fournette. Taking a look at their receiving leader actually is their wide receiver 3, Scotty Miller, with 15 receptions, 250 yards, and 1 touchdown. Taking a look at their just total offensive stats, they have scored 30 points per game, also have averaged 280.5 yards passing per game, but only 97.8 rushing yards per game. So, Jaylen, I want to pass it to you. This Buccaneers team has looked shaky at times. They've looked like one of the better teams in the league at times. What do you think about their offense?
Offense is very explosive. Tom Brady's the best quarterback of all time. No doubt about that. He has, 6 rings? Their running game, they have Leonard Fournette. He's been out the last 2 weeks, so they've been basically relying on Ronald Jones and Keyshawn Vaughn, who they just drafted in the 3rd round this year out of Vanderbilt. Ronald Jones had a very solid game against the Chargers. Running wise, receiver wise, I think he dropped 4 balls. I was watching that game because our game got pushed back to the 325 slot, so I was scouting our week 4 opponent, and they started off very slow against the Chargers. I think the Chargers went up by 3 touchdowns at one point of the game. Justin Herbert played extremely well. They were letting a bunch of no-name guys in the receiving corps basically burn them. Their secondary played very sloppy, but this offense is very explosive. They have 3 solid tight ends. Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard didn't get hurt, but they still had him last game. And Robert Gronkowski, he's one of the best tight ends of all time as well. Plus they have a very solid offensive line. This team is very good. Also very well coached by Bruce Arians. And so this is definitely one of our toughest opponents so far. If we thought the Colts was tough, this Buccaneers team is might be a little bit better than the Colts team.
I almost think personally that the Bears match up a little bit better with the Buccaneers. I think after yesterday's game, we realized that the Colts are legit and they are going to be contending for that AFC South title. But the Buccaneers do come from the NFC South. They are first place currently at 3-1. And Tom Brady, obviously we mentioned they do have a lot of lingering injuries on offense that are looking to hurt them a lot in a short turnaround week. But Tom Brady, obviously in New England, has never been a stranger to plug-in players, and guys like Scotty Miller on offense have gotten opportunities because of that. Taking a look at the defense of the Buccaneers, a lot of very recognizable names amongst this front 7, and Ndamukong Suh, Vita Vea, even William Golston at right end, Jason Pierre-Paul, Devin White, Levante David, Shaq Barrett. That front 7 is scary, but you get into the secondary, and it's not as great as it looks. The Buccaneers, definitely the weakness of their defense has been allowing passing yards to opposing quarterbacks. They've allowed 271 passing yards per game with only 64.3 allowed rushing yards per game. So the Bears, it seems like if they're going to want to win in week 4, Matt Nagy's going to need to turn it around quickly, get Nick Foles some more timing with obviously his receivers. And the Bears are going to have to seemingly attack through the air. We saw Justin Herbert have a great game in his 3rd career start yesterday. 20 for 25, 290 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception. Almost won the Chargers that game. But taking a look at the secondary for the Chargers, it's really not many recognizable names, if I'm being honest. Carlton Davis, Ryan Smith, Jordan Whitehead, Sean Murphy-Bunting, also Antoine Winfield, obviously, is probably the only name I recognize in that secondary. So it seems like a little bit of a weaker secondary for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but we know that front 7 is bound to cause nightmares. So Parth, it seems like the Bears are going to have to try and win this one through the air. The run game doesn't seem too promising for the 2nd week in a row, but what do you think about this Buccaneers defense overall?
They had a pretty good start to the season, if I'm not wrong, and then they let Justin Herbert do that to them. Not gonna lie, Justin Herbert's looked really impressive. For his 3rd career start to put up those type of numbers in the National Football League is not easy to do. So for him to do that, I think it's more of his talent compared to the Buccaneers defense. I think the Bucs defense is still ranked top 10 in many categories, and we know that this Bears offense can be really bad at times. I mean, we saw it this week. I thought we looked just like the 2019 Bears. So if we come out strong, then maybe we can start pushing the ball through the air. We saw Justin Herbert complete a lot of deep passes against that Bucs secondary. So if Nick Foles is there under center, I expect the Bears to start airing it out more. We saw we couldn't get the run game going against the Colts at all. David Montgomery had 10 carries for 27 yards. And we know that Nick Foles depends on the run. So does Mitch Trubisky. Both quarterbacks need the run game going in order for them to be able to get going, especially that play action that Matt Nagy likes to run with Nick Foles. We weren't able to do that against the Colts successfully because we never got the run game going. So if the Bears want to win this game, we fully need to get that run game going. Hopefully that's with Lamar Miller, who we might start seeing this weekend or this weekday. I keep saying weekend, but yeah, and hopefully David Montgomery can bounce back against the Bucs as well.
Yeah, definitely a tough front seven for the Bears to face, but I will say I don't think a lot of these players are the same that they used to be. But taking a look at where the Buccaneers defense ranks in regards to amongst the league, they're the 9th overall defense in the league, so a little bit of a step back from the first defense that the Bears got to play against Indianapolis. They are 19th in the league in allowing passing yards, but second in the league versus the rush. So it should be interesting. It seems like the Bears are going to have to try and take advantage of a weaker secondary this week if they're going to want to pull off an upset. I believe ESPN's matchup predictor gives the Buccaneers somewhere around a 65% chance of winning this one. So, Jaylen, what do you think? Obviously, looking at Tampa Bay, they're a very good, well-rounded team, but it seems like there's a little bit of a weakness there in the secondary, allowing 271 passing yards per game. So, what are your thoughts on this Tampa Bay defense?
Now, I don't think their secondary is garbage compared to like the Atlanta Falcons secondary or the Giants or even the Detroit Lions. I just think that they're extremely young guys. Antoine Winfield is a rookie. They just drafted Sean Murphy Bunting last year. I think Carlton Davis was the year before that, as well as Jordan Whitehead. So there's a lot of young guys in the secondary. They're not NFL vets yet. They're still learning the speed and, the game of, playing in the NFL. So I think as time goes on, they're going to get better. But for right now, like I said before, they got toasted by unknown wide receivers on the Chargers. Like, I was watching them get burned by a dude named like Tyron Johnson. I was like, who was number 83 on the Chargers? I had to look him up. They literally just brought him off the practice squad the day before that game, and they got burned for a 53-yarder by him. So, if we want to win this game, like we said before, we have to get the run game going. Use the play action for Nick Foles. Throw a couple deep shots to Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, or Darnell Mooney, and we definitely have to try to get our tight ends involved. They have great linebackers in Devin White and Levante David, who's probably one of the best linebackers in the league. And we have to block for Nick Foles. This front seven of the Buccaneers is scary. Probably better than ours. It's looking better than ours right now. So, yeah, we definitely have to do a lot of stuff to score points on this defense.
Yeah, the Bears are going to definitely have to have a good day from their wide receivers if they're going to want to win this one. 7 receptions for 101 yards and a touchdown for Allen Robinson in Week 4. We also saw Darnell Mooney get involved yet again with 5 receptions for 52 yards, 10.4 yards per catch. His production continues to go up. We're going to talk a little bit about how we think the Bears can win this one a little bit later down the road in this episode. But for now, let's talk about how Tampa Bay can win this one. Obviously, they are favored coming into this game. I believe they are 5.5 favorites with the over-under in this game placed at 44.5 points. Tampa Bay has scored 30 points per game. The Bears have allowed 20.3 points per game. The Bears have scored 21.3 per game, while Tampa Bay has allowed 23 per game. So, Parth, I want to pass it back to you. We've taken a look at this Buccaneers team. What do you think they have to do if they want to move to 4-1 on Thursday night in primetime?
They just got to play good defense, in my opinion. We saw the Bears often struggle against the Colts defense. I feel like any team that plays pretty good defense against us can beat us at this point. The offense did not look too great last week, and it hasn't looked great all year, in my opinion, besides some points of the quarters. So if they play good defense for all 4 quarters, I think they have a really good shot against us, especially against our O-line. If they can get their pressure going with that front 7, and they got a great linebacker duo in Levante David and I think I'm forgetting his name.
Well, keep going.
Yeah, so they have a great linebacker duo, and so if we can stop that, then hopefully we can win the game. But I think the Buccaneers have the edge on the defensive side. If they can play better defense than us, they can easily win this game. And then on the offensive side, just let Tom Brady do his thing. We know Tom Brady's a great quarterback, the greatest of all time. He started off slow this year, but he's picked it up. Yesterday he had 5 touchdown passes, and if he can keep that going into this game, that'd be something to look out for. And I think Tom Brady's undefeated against the Bears in his career. I think he's 5-0, so I'm pretty sure he's trying to make that 6-0.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go ahead and agree with you on the head. By the way, that linebacking core for the Buccaneers includes Devin White, a player that is commonly overlooked but is pretty good, but also Shaq Barrett, who was phenomenal in 2019 at right inside linebacker. So, I agree with you. We saw the Bears struggle and bend and break yesterday when the Colts got the offense off the field for Chicago. The Bears can rely on their defense, but it seemed like 2019 yesterday when we saw them heavily relying on their defense for more than half of the game. The Colts obviously controlled the time of possession by a decent margin. So I'm going to have to agree with you. If the Buccaneers want to win this one, they have to play well, and especially in the secondary. I think there are some advantageous matchups this weekend for all of the Bears' wide receivers. I think it's going to be a tough day for their tight ends, but I could see guys like Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, and Darnell Mooney, and someone who Nick Foles has liked to throw to thus far in Ted Ginn having some good days. And we'll get to how the Bears have to win later, but they definitely have a matchup advantage versus that Tampa secondary. But I agree. If Tampa can shut down the run, they're going to have an easier time shutting down the pass. And overall, if they can play good defense, that's all they're going to have to do, because obviously Tom Brady is not Phillip Rivers. He's going to be able to move the ball more efficiently, in my opinion. And the Bears' defense will bend, and they'll stay persistent, but we saw it yesterday. They eventually broke, and I can't believe I'm saying that because they only allowed 19 points. But if the if the Buccaneers can keep the Bears' offense at bay, I think they're going to be able to win this one pretty handily. So, Jaylen, I'm pretty sure we're going to have a consensus here. I think it's basically pretty easy to hit this one on the head. But what do the Buccaneers need to do if they want to take home this Week 5 win?
Yeah, you and Parth basically, talked about everything I was going to mention. Like, just play good defense and stop this offense. We were only in the red zone twice yesterday. One was in the first quarter, I think it was the first quarter, and we ended up with 3 points. And the other one was with 1 minute left until the fourth, and in the fourth when the game was already over. So if you can stop us from getting in the red zone, force 3 and outs, stop the run, basically force us to have to pass the ball with Nick Foles, you're going to win this game. You're going to make our offense look trash again. This play calling, I thought it was going to be way better with Nick Foles as our quarterback, just because Nagy feels like he's more comfortable with him and he knows how to call better plays with him. But we didn't see that, and I don't know if that's because Nagy just didn't have a good game plan for the Colts defense, or not Nagy. Foles just wasn't able to execute it yesterday. So if the Buccaneers want to win, that's basically what they have to do. Play good defense, and they're going to win this game.
Yeah, definitely. At least yesterday, in regards to the offense, I would probably put equal blame on both Nagy and Foles. There was a lot going on with the play calling that seemed like the Bears were shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, I think yesterday we all expected the Bears to go into that one and see a ton of new stuff from Matt Nagy, and we saw none of that whatsoever.
We saw the same thing. So we saw even worse.
It seemed like he was reverting to 2019 almost.
Definitely. Yeah,
So,
I saw worse offense.
Yeah, so before we close this one off, let's talk a little bit about how the Bears can win this one, because I see one glaring hole that I think the Bears are going to have to look to attack if they want to win this one, and it's the young players in the secondary of Tampa Bay. We saw Justin Herbert have some success against them last week, and the Bears are going to have to attack the secondary, as crazy as it sounds, if they're going to want to win this one. We didn't see the passing game get going at all against the Indianapolis Colts, and it's going to have to be basically the complete opposite if the Bears want to win in this one. When I look at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think they're a very good, well-rounded team. But if I were any coach of any team, I think I would look towards their secondary if I'm looking for somewhere to attack and have success when I'm on offense. We saw Drew Brees throw for 2 touchdowns against them in Week 1. Week 2, they only let the Carolina Panthers score 17 points, but Teddy Bridgewater still threw 33 complete passes for 367 yards. I think the Bears have to attack the secondary if they want to win this one, and I also think the Bears will be able to have a successful day in the secondary in this one. We've seen Tom Brady throw 4 interceptions. I actually think he throws another one against the Bears. I like how the Bears' secondary has performed thus far. Jaylen Johnson is looking like an absolute steal of a pick. I know Jaylen is someone who wanted the Bears to pick Antoine Winfield, but I don't think he can complain about how Jaylen Johnson has played quarterbacks have a 45.5% completion rate when targeting him, and he ranks second in the league out of all defensive backs in passes defended with 7 in 4 weeks. So you know what? I think the Bears have to attack Tampa Bay's secondary. I think they could have some problems stopping the run once again because Tampa Bay does have a solid offensive line. It's not the Colts' offensive line, but I think they have a solid offensive line and might be able to get the run game going. But I do think the Bears secondary will be able to play well in this one. Mike Evans is going to be a tough task, but we've seen near perfect play from Kyle Fuller, except for maybe a defensive pass interference yesterday that got the Colts down in the red zone, which resulted in 3 points. So you know what? If the Bears want to win this one, I think it's pretty simple. I think the Bears attacks Tampa's secondary. Guys like Allen Robinson, Anthony Miller, and Darnell Mooney are all going to have to step up because the Bears aren't going to be able to rely on their tight ends as much as they normally would be with guys like Devin White, Levante David, Shaq Barrett, and Antoine Winfield covering them. So the Bears are going to have to attack Tampa's secondary, and I keep rattling on. And the Bears are going to have to shut down receivers like Mike Evans and Scotty Miller. They're lucky that Chris Godwin isn't out there because that could make this game so much tougher. But they're going to have to lock down in the secondary, and they're going to have to also attack and try and break open Tampa's secondary, just like Justin Herbert did yesterday. And we saw him have success doing so. And I think the Bears' defense in that situation would be able to hopefully hold off Tom Brady better than that of the Chargers. So, Parth, I want to pass it to you. I think I did a pretty good job covering it in my rant, but what do you think the Bears have to do if they want to pull off an upset on Thursday night?
Something that the Buccaneers have been really good at so far this year has been stopping the run. We've mentioned it before, but against the Broncos, they only allowed 38 rushing yards. And then last week against the Chargers, they only allowed around 45 rushing yards. So for the Bears to win this game, we're going to have to somehow run the ball against this defense. I don't know how we're going to be able to do it, especially against a really good run defense. We saw the Colts stop us to basically under 40 yards this week. So if the Bears want to win this game, we got to run the ball. Like I've said, Nick Foles depends on the run a lot. In Philadelphia, the system was based around running the ball and getting receivers open in play action plays, and that's what the Bears did against Atlanta. And if the Bears want to win against Tampa Bay, we got to do the same. It's going to be difficult to start running the ball, especially against this Tampa Bay defense who's got that great front seven. But if the Bears want to win, we got to run the ball somehow, whether that's with Cordero Patterson, Lamar Miller, David Montgomery, Ryan Nall, even Artavius Pierce. I don't know if they're going to have him active over Nall. I think that should be something that should be talked about because we don't even use Nall at this point. So I feel like why not bring in a short, speedy guy back into the offense like Tariq Cohen and maybe use Pierce like that?
Yeah, taking a look at the Colts' run defense just for 1 second, they've allowed now 77 yards per game rushing, and we see Tampa Bay allowing less. So it seems like it's going to be tough for the Bears to run it in this game, but luckily for them, they definitely have an upper hand, I would say, with the Bears as wide receivers versus Tampa secondary. So, Jaylen, I want to pass it to you. What do you think the Bears need to do in this game, either offensively, defensively? I covered both. I probably shouldn't have because I ranted forever, but what do you think the Bears need to do if they want to steal a win here?
So something that I've realized as Matt Nagy's been play caller is that every time it's a high up tempo offense, we seem to move the ball better than we do with like scripted plays and plays that Matt Nagy just calls when he's trying to get the offensive going. So I feel like Matt Nagy just continue to a no huddle offense, like keep it very quick. One replays and stuff like that, and every time we do that, we're able to move the ball, pretty well. So. I say we should maybe look into doing something like that. We obviously have to stop Tom Brady and all the weapons he has on his offense. Robert Gronkowski hasn't really looked like Gronk, and I don't know if that's because he took the 1 year off, but he doesn't look like himself, before he retired. Mike Evans is being Mike Evans. He's been a little injured, but he's still playing well. We don't know if Chris Godwin's going to play this week. Hopefully he doesn't for our sake. But like you said, Scotty Miller has been playing well. Buster Skrine has to be able to stop him in the slot. Kyle Fuller still has to be able to play well against Mike Evans, stop the run game, get pressure on Tom Brady, and hopefully we can get a W.
Yeah, the Bears are definitely going to have to be unpredictable on offense if they want to win this one. A lot of dinking and dunking in the last game, and that didn't help. And I'll tell you one thing, that definitely isn't going to work against Tampa Bay. So we'll see what Matt Nagy has up his sleeve. But that'll pretty much do it for our Week 5 installment of Meet the Opponents. If you guys want more content from us, you can head over to our website, beardown.com. We're posting columns, articles, and blogs every day of the week this week because the Bears obviously do play on a short week. So if you want more content from us, there are a ton of people that work hard behind the scenes. Head over to our website and go check that out. If you would like to find the podcast on Instagram or Twitter, we're probably going to be doing a giveaway within the next month. Normally we give away a jersey, but we might switch it up this month. I have a little something planned up my sleeve, so go check us out on social media. The giveaways are always free to enter, and it's also a great way to interact with us. And finally, you can find the links to all of our Bears fan pages on Instagram down in the description. Those are also great ways to communicate with us directly and definitely worth following. Parth, Jaylen McClinton, quick turnaround to Week 5. Bears looking to pull off an upset here against a very strong team in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Any last words?
I hope we can pull out the upset. I don't like losing 2 games in a row, especially because the schedule just gets tougher and tougher down the road. The Bears did beat the easy teams. Hopefully we can, squeak out some wins against these tougher teams and, grab a playoff spot.
At this point, if we might as well just trade for Trace McSorley.
Yeah, it should be interesting. That's been quite the dilemma on TikTok recently. But you know what? It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be Nick Foles versus Tom Brady 2.0 in different jerseys. If the Bears are to lose any other game this season, I honestly wouldn't be upset if it was against, the resurgent Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But I do think the Bears will have a fighting chance in this one, and I see how they can scheme it to be able to give themselves a good chance. But that's all up to Matt Nagy. It's been a pleasure to be your host. Once again, my name is Chris Malpe. Bears fans, as always, stay safe and bear down. We will be back tomorrow with 3 key matchups in Bears versus Buccaneers. Have a good one. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.